Hi everyone, and welcome to this first edition of Rap Knowledge Live. Um, Thank you for being here today. Let's just give one extra minute for the people to keep entering to the meeting, and we are going to start 2:02 p.m. Sharp. Okay, let's start this session. As I was saying, thanks for being here in this first session of Rap Knowledge Live. This first session it's going to be on the youth engagement app for safer school journeys. And these sessions, the Rap Knowledge Live sessions, are supposed to be once a month. There are going to be sessions in which we are going to gather and share knowledge, road safety knowledge, of course, infrastructure-wise, and all knowledge related to a safe system approach to road survey. In this live session, we will discuss how the application, the youth engagement app works, how it's capturing student road safety experiences to inform safer journeys, and the implementation in real life projects of this app. Our speakers today, well, first of all, I'm going to be the moderator of the session, not actually a speaker, but just if you don't know me, my name is Franco Asato, and I am the training and accreditation coordinator with IRA. Our speakers are going to be Rafaela Machado, the Star Rating for Schools Global Coordinator with IRAP, Shana Lucchesi, Project Coordinator with IRAP, and Trang Truong, a Senior Program Manager from AIP Foundation. Just in order to do some housekeeping, sorry, this webinar, it's going to be a 1 hour webinar. We're going to have 60 minutes in total. We are going to allocate at the end of the presentations a 10 minutes window for doing some Q&A. And after the session, you're going to be able to receive the video of the session and as well as the presentation. As you may see, your dashboard may be like this. It may have changed with the last upgrade of GoTo, but it's essentially like this. As you may see, you are, as of now, not able to unmute yourself, but you are able to post questions in the question box. During the presentation, I really encourage you to do so, to post your questions by written mode, and I will be directing those questions to the speakers whenever there's a window on the presentation to do so. And in the end, we are going to be able to allocate the word to each one of you because we would really like to hear from you. For that, I will ask you to raise your hands and I will allocate the microphone for you. So with this housekeeping being done, I would really like to give the floor to Rafaela Machado. There you go, Rafa.
Thank you, Franco. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rafaela Machado. I'm Starting for Schools Global Coordinator at IRAP. And for those who aren't familiar with what IRAP is, IRAP stands for International Road Assessment Program. We are a charity registered in the UK, but working globally with the vision of creating a world free of high-risk roads. To achieve that, we have developed different tools, protocols, and supporting systems just so that organizations, governments, companies, corporations can inspect high-risk roads and develop star ratings and safer roads investment plans, understanding what should be done where in terms of road infrastructure. These methodologies that we developed have been already applied in more than 100 countries to assess more than 1 million kilometers of streets. Next one, please. And we are making all of our efforts in consistency with the global plan. As part of the United Nations and the World Health Organization efforts to achieve a 50% decrease in the fatalities and injuries around the world, the global plan has been established with clear guidance on what should be done to make sure that we will have safer cities and safer countries for everyone. And IRAP supports the safe road infrastructure. So next one, please. So this is one of the components recommended on what to do, making sure that we have safe infrastructure. And this is also connected to making sure that we have multimodal transport and all transport modes being accessible, equitable, and safe. Next one, please. As part of the Global Road Safety Performance targets included also in the plan, we have two targets that are very clear on the safety standards of our streets, the ones that are already built and those that will be built. So these targets say that by 2030, all new roads and 75% or more of travel on existing roads should achieve a minimum quality standard for safety. And in the target 3, it's clearly 3-star rating or better. So we are working globally, supporting governments or organizations in achieving these targets and measuring how their performance on safety is going so far. Next one, please. And having this background, this information in mind, we developed the star rating for schools some years ago. It's one of our tools focused on pedestrian safety around schools, and we work with star rating for schools for a vision of a world where all children can travel safely to and from school. Next one, please. So with the star rating for schools, we allow partners to measure, monitor, and communicate risk of roads around schools. So we have a mobile application, we have a central platform, and we have also paper forms that can be used to collect information on how the infrastructure is being presented in a particular location, and then we generate the star ratings that will help us understand what should be done to improve safety for children walking to school. Next one, please. So the process to collect and use rating for schools is very simple. It starts with the assessment of the current scenario. So we collect all of the information related to infrastructure in a particular location. Then we generate this star rating that goes from 1 to 5 stars, where 1 is the least safe and 5 is the safest location. Then we can discuss and test different treatment suggestions. After this process, we proceed with local partners to the implementation of the solutions, and then data can be collected again to understand what the impact of these interventions in terms of safety for pedestrians walking to school. Next one. Here is a very quick example of one of our first pilots. This was an assessment conducted in 2015 in South Africa. And in this specific context, in this specific school, by talking to the community, we found out that these were the main pedestrian journeys on the way to school. So please click again. So you can see here the main pedestrian routes, and these are the 2 locations in which kids had to cross a high-speed road with no pedestrian facilities. Next one, please. So as part of this project, different locations were assessed with star rating for schools around the school. You can see that right at the entrance of the school, there are some orange points, which mean that these are 3-star locations, which means that they have the minimum standard, but not necessarily are safe yet. And in the main road, you can see that most of the locations that were assessed were generating 1 or 2 stars for pedestrians. So this means that kids are at very high risk in this particular road when they are accessing the school. In this circle, in green, you can, there are two locations, one black and one orange. This is because in this specific location, a 1-star location was improved, and this led to an increase to 3 stars for pedestrians. Next one, please. So here you can see with very solutions and low-cost measures, it is possible to provide better conditions for pedestrians accessing the school. Next one. And during this process of helping partners talk to the community, talk to the students, talk to the education authorities, road authorities, there are some questions that we heard from some of our partners. One of them is how to engage the school community. So as part of the process, we were emphasizing to organizations, and to governments, the importance of listening to the community, listening to the students. But this is something that sometimes is not very clear. How can we do that? And next, please. And the second question that we heard a lot is, which are these locations that we should be assessing around the school? How to select if we are assessing the entrance of the school 2 blocks away from the school, how to identify these intersections or crossing sections that might be imposing a risk for pedestrians. And this is something that we have to hear from the community. So in order to answer these 2 questions, mainly as part of the Starting for Schools assessments, the youth engagement app was developed and prepared. So now I'll pass the word to my colleague Shanna, who will to provide more information on the development of the youth engagement app.
Hi everyone, thank you, Rafa. It's really great to have you all here today with us and see that you are all interested in new tools and new ways to engage youth in participating in road safety decisions. So these questions that Rafa just presented were part of the motivation for the AI and Me Empower You for Safer Road project. The project is funded by Foundation Botnar and co-funded by the FIA Foundation. We have the joy of having AIP Foundation as the lead partner and us, IREP and NDD as supporting partners. So I'll not go into the details of the project activities. I think Ms. Strang will also give you more information about this later. Still, I need to provide a bit of context of where and how the core of our presentation today, the YEA or the Youth Engagement App was developed. So the project has these 3 main activities. The first one is what we call the big data screening. The big data screening tries to answer another question we sometimes receive when people want to assess schools. It is, that is, where should I start? So which schools should I look at first in a citywide perspective? So if I'm looking at all schools in my city, for example, let's say that my city has 1,000 or 2,000 schools, which ones should I pick to analyze first? So if I don't have resources to analyze all, or if I have and I still need a priority list, the screening methodology tries to look for available big data sources and attributes that could be valuable to identify high-risk areas in the city for a road safety perspective, of course, and consequently schools located in those areas. But this methodology is not the focus of today's webinar. So if you are interested to know more, you can always get in contact with us and we can give more information on how the big data screening methodology works. With the school selected, we are still missing another piece of this puzzle, that it's, okay, now that we have the school identified, how can we determine the locations around the schools to assess? And as Rafa just presented, how can we engage the community to participate in this process? Because they are there all day, they are traveling to and from school, they perceive the environment as safe or unsafe, so they for sure will give us very good hints of the problems or the issues they face every day. So we can go to the next slide, please. So this is the project theory of change. We believe that we should start with the changes in awareness. So we should expose the community to the idea of that road environment can be safe. We should instigate this curiosity of what is a safe environment and the understanding about the scale of the road safety risk, making sure that they will feel recognized and valuable on participating in this process. So then we go to the challenges in attitude. They should believe that safer roads are possible. We need to motivate them to participate in this change, and they need to think that their concerns will be heard and taken seriously by governments and decision makers. The third step is the change in action. We want to increase activity participation in the political process for road safety. We want students to guide the conversations on solutions. And for this, we want to record exactly where they feel unsafe or on roads, becoming road safety as a casual topic of conversation among their peers, so among students, among their friends, with their parents and teachers. So finally, the fourth step is that after all this, we want a sustained change. So the participants of this project should be able to communicate in the road safety language with confidence, and the data that we are collecting and will be provided for youth and the local governments will empower them to ask for better roads, and then they will be, at the end, actively engaged in shaping solutions. So we can go to the next slide, please. We started this discussion with students with a small focus group. Actually, AIP Foundation was the one conducting this activity on the ground. But one of the questions students were asked is, there's someone that you could report traffic safety risks to? So when you feel unsafe or when you're experiencing something not great or something bad on the roads, do you have anyone to report that? And we received those type of answers, like some of them were aware of the road safety issues, but often ignore or didn't actually discuss this with anyone. For college or university students, they usually discuss the issue with their friends, but rarely share with their parents or teachers. And the majority of the traffic safety issues that the participants, students have discussed with their families and friends have not yet been addressed by the local authorities. So we have a clear gap here. We are really missing a communication channel that could be this link among people in the community or students in this case. They're expecting the roads, they're experiencing, the roads, and someone that really make the decisions or could make their experience more smoothly, more friendly, and that can eliminate or reduce the risk. So the next one, please. And we are getting to the fun part, but let me just say first that this is the youth engagement app goals. So firstly, we want the tool to empower youth to both identify dangerous road location and share their voice with authorities. The app should help increase their awareness of all safety infrastructure risk and personal health impact of road crash. And as I just presented in the theory of change, it should help the change in attitude for the road in road advocacy. So next one. And these amazing ladies want to bring you to the youth engagement app world. I will present very briefly the strategies that guided the development of the app. Ms. Strang will also give you more infos on the ground activities, on the engagement itself, and some of the results. But before I give the mic to Ms. Strang, if everything goes well, I will do like a live demonstration of the tool for you. So let's go into the strategies, into the next slide. First one is that, and you could do some clicks, Franco, please, to show the pictures. So the first one is that the app should be simple to use. Nowadays, if you have kids at home, if you have brothers, sisters, cousins, you know that they deal very well with technology. They can learn very fast on how to use new tools. They are very connected, but they are also exposed to a lot of different applications every day. So we didn't want to ask them to use something else that will also be too complicated to use. So the complication of how complicated the app was could be a critical barrier on the engagement. So we really designed the app to be as simple as possible. You will see from the live demonstration that it's really, really simple to use. We are just collecting locations in the shape of pins. So this is mostly everything they need to provide together with the rank of the situation, if it's safe, unsafe, or very unsafe. And we also have some pre-selected attributes, as you can see on the screen, to help to make this process even easier. That is our second strategy. The app should be easy to use, and this is because mainly we are dealing here with road safety issues. So students don't need to report on real time the problems, right? If they are facing facing any dangerous situation, they don't need to report right away. Actually, they are instructed to go to a safe place and then include the pins representing the risky locations in the system. But especially if they are like pedestrians and they are walking and they see something and they want to use the app to report the situation they are facing or the problems they are facing on the street, we don't want the app to be a trap or an additional risk for them. So the process should be really, really simple. You will see from the demonstration that not take longer than 10 seconds to do the report. And especially after you do this a few times, you see that this is very, very fast and very easy to use. Again, as we are talking about youth here, we want the app to be attractive and fun. So we play a bit with colors, icons, menus, information available on the app to be as more attractive and fun as possible. We discussed during this process to include something about gamification and additional functionalities that could make users to use the app more frequently. But well, this is not exactly the purpose of this tool. We are talking about kids, and there is a lot of protection regulation for app designs for kids. For example, we are collecting parents' agreement for every user in the system. So we didn't want to include anything that the parents might be against you. So the only gamification functionality that we have is user receive stars depending on the number of pins they include in the system. It's very easy to achieve the target. If they include 20 pins, they will be a 5-star user. And finally, something that I think is quite important here is that we are working with a wide range of age. So initially it was from 10 to 18, but actually we are applying the app and students part of the pilot of the app that we will talk about in 1 second. The age range is from 10 to 22 years old. So their interests in this phase can vary widely, right? So we didn't want to create an app that will be too childish or too much designed from grown-ups. So it was a challenge to find this balance in everything that we developed for the app in this process. Next slide, please. So, and you can do, okay, that's all right. So again, we want the youth engagement app to be able to be a supporting tool for road safety. So we want the app to help increase road safety around schools, highlighting spots where students feel unsafe. We want students to feel empowered and feeling they are acting to make the change, so they are concerned with their journeys to school and their safety. And of course, the idea is that the youth engagement app will help us to identify locations where we should conduct detailed safety assessments. So the youth engagement app is made by and designed to be a supporting tool for the star rating for schools. So this is, next slide, please. So this is how the app looks like. Let me very quickly connect my phone. So I want to do like a live demonstration to you all to see how the app works in practice. Please be patient 2 seconds. If you could give me the control.
Yep, you are supposed to have it now, Sean.
Okay, cool. Let me just make sure that it is connected properly. Yes, okay. So can you confirm that you are seeing my screen, please?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, cool. So this is how the apps look like. Currently, it's available in Vietnamese and in English. Oops. So what you are seeing is my screen phone. So we have some tips here first for the students that are using the app, so for them to be aware of the risks and don't put themselves in danger. So I will just log in. Actually, first, let me go back to show you like the sign up process. So here in the sign up process, we are just collecting like usernames, emails. Let me do something very quickly to show you. I need 8 characters, passwords, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and name. So user needs to agree with terms and conditions, but the parents are also invited to agree with the terms. And then they will have to report their country, city, school, gender, date of birth, and if they are students, teachers, parents, or partners of organizations. So let me put some information here just for you to see the next steps. And if they are students, we'll go to this next page where we ask how they travel to school. If they do not walk to school, we are asking why. So please remember that the idea of the Youth Engagement app is also support the Star Rating for Schools tool. And the Star Rating for School is focused mostly on pedestrians, basically on pedestrians. So we want to understand a bit more why they are not walking to school. So, okay. So let me go into the system with my login. Oops. The apps look a bit different from iPhone or Android user, especially because of the type of map that you see. So I'm using iPhone, so this is the Apple map. So the Android phones will be looking to Google Maps. If your GPS is turned on, you see your location. So now you see where I am here in the city of Porto in Portugal. And the process of ping is really, really simple. As I said before, it should not take longer than 10 seconds. So I will choose one place here, for example, this intersection. I will press the screen with my finger, and then a menu will show up. In this menu, the students can select if they are traveling, if they are walking, biking, riding a motorcycle, or traveling in a car. So let's say here I am a pedestrian. And then the app will ask, do you feel safe walking around here? And I can say if I feel safe, unsafe, or very unsafe. I will put a feel a bit unsafe to cross that street. And then the app will ask for a few more information of why this is happening. So is the problem is the sidewalks, is difficult to cross the streets, is the lighting the issue, or is the vehicle speed? So I'll say here that it's difficult to cross because there's not necessarily a formal crossing in that location. And also sometimes the vehicles travel at high speed. I can add comments if it's something else. For example, I can say no formal crossing to give more information about what is happening. And I can add or take pictures. So for example, this is how you see my screen now. And the picture will be available in the system. So the pictures and comments are not available for other users because of data protection for kids, but it is available for partners or for organizations that want to access the data and making different or additional analysis using this data. So I'm ready to pin. And then my pedestrian pin is already in there. So it's basically, this is what we are requesting for students, to populate this map with some safe, unsafe, and very unsafe location. If I go to Ho Chi Minh, to Ho Chi Minh City, just to show you some results of the pilots that we are conducting as part of the IME Empower You for Safer Road project, you can see that the map is already populated with a lot of impressions from students in this region. So if I'm zoom in and zoom out, you can already see some additional pins here. So basically, this is the information that users will have available. They can see locations, and within the map and playing a bit with zooming in, zooming out, we can identify some clusters of pins or some groups of pins that give us some hints of locations where students feel safe or unsafe. So some additional functionalities just for you to see. So we already have some locations with pins included. So where I am. So I'll add some additional pins just for you to see how it works with the other type of users. So if I click here, let's say I'm traveling by car. So how I feel. Okay, I feel safe by car. Why I feel safe? Because pavement is good, intersection have low traffic, streets are lit, let's say, and the pavement is good, and I'm ready to pin. In the menu, I can see my pins. You can see that I'm already a 5-star user. So here are the pins I just included. So users can delete or edit or include additional information on this. I can filter, and if I have a long list of pins, I can filter and check more recent pins or the latest pins that I included. In the menu, you can also see statistics. So we already have more than 19,000 locations reported in the app. And here you can see like overall statistics about these pins. So for example, for pedestrians, 69% of the pins says that the infrastructure is safe, 23 unsafe, and 8% very unsafe. One very important thing here, just to remind you all, is that here we are collecting perceptions, right? So it's how the user feel on that situation. So we are inviting them to participate in this process, right? So we are very confident that they are using the system properly and reporting exactly how they feel. And we have been seeing this during the pilot as well. In the filters here, I can also check for transport modes, for example, let's see only pedestrians. So we have 9,000 pins, pedestrian pins included in the system, so that you can play with the filters as well. We also have what we call the road safety knowledge page. So in this page, students can find more information about safe school zones, what is a safe sidewalks. There are some safety tips. So we have here sidewalks, crossings, lighting, speed, cycle path, and some extra content as well. So they can download additional materials to have more information on road safety. They can also share the app with their friends. And here it's just like a functionality for moderators and admins, not for students. But if, for example, you want to apply the app in a project, you have access to this data, so you can download the data. The downloading file will present the coordinates of the pin, the rank, the safety rank, so if it's safety, unsafety, or very unsafe, and the additional attributes. And of course, comments and pictures if you request, and we agree with the terms of using this data. So someone can also download this data. We can use filters for transport mode, for date range, country, city, and school. So basically, this is the app. As I said before, it's very easy to use, very simple. The app is not available online, so if you check on the Play Store, Apple Store, you'll not find the app to download. This is because we are still in a pilot phase, so we are still piloting the app as part of the AIME Empower Youth for Safer Roads project. But if you are interested to know a little bit more, if you think it's advantage for you to use in your project, if you want to explore tools to collect perceptions of students, get in contact with us, and we can discuss how can we share access to the apps for you and the students that are participating in your project. So I think Rafa will also cover this a little bit more in the future, but the idea is that the Youth Engagement app will support new star rating for schools assessments in a way to engage the community to participate in this process and to really respond for their needs, right? Because they, if they are reporting they feel unsafe in some specific locations, we should take a look on those and take action, right? And make the environment safer for them. That's all for me. So I would like to pass the mic to Ms. Trang Trong from AIP Foundation. And first of all, thank you, Trang, for accepting our invitation to be here with us today, talking a little bit more about your experience on applying the app and using the app on the field.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and thank you for your introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Trang Trung. I am a Senior Program Manager at AIP Foundation. I'm happy to share with you about the government and student engagement in piloting the app. Next slide, please. So Let me start with a short introduction of my organization. AAB Foundation was established in 1999. We are a non-profit organization dedicated to reducing road traffic fatalities and injury in low and middle income countries. We began our work in Vietnam and expand our collaboration in many other countries, including Cambodia, China, India, Myanmar, Philippines, and Thailand. Next slide, please. And what about road crises in Vietnam? Road crashes are the second leading cause of death among children aged 5 to 14 years. Every year, nearly 2,300 children lose their lives on Vietnam roads. More significantly, for 1 child that dies, another 4 are permanently disabled, and a further 10 are seriously injured due to road crashes. Next slide, please. So, to address this issue, over the past several years, AAB Foundation have continued to collaborate with the Vietnamese government and global partners to improve roads in one of the most important communities, that is Khun Son. Next slide, please. We recognize that our government is struggling to educate road users and prioritize which communities are in need of infrastructure change, and the main reasons are lack of reliable road safety data for decision makers to understand the risk that road users experience on the road. Also, lack of technological platforms which enable youth to identify high-risk locations, communicate these risks, and provide recommendations to the government. Another reason is low awareness among youth, which, if addressed, could decrease high-risk road behaviors and increase public dialogue on the issue of road safety. Next slide, please. And what data is used for our decision makers to prioritize their investment or policy change? How can we make it easy and exciting for young people to raise their voice in advocating for safer roads? The Youth Engagement App, as Rafaela and Shana just mentioned previously, as a part of the AINB Empowering Youth for Safer Roads, which is a 3-year project to immerse technology to support our government in focusing life-saving road upgrades and speed management toward the location where young people have indicated they need it most. And the project is funded by Foundation Botna FAA Foundation, implemented by AAB Foundation in partnership with IRAP and ANIDI. In Vietnam, the app was piloted in 18 schools, including secondary, high school, and university in 3 cities. Next slide, please. How can we engage our government in this project? At national level, AAB Foundation has signed a 5-year agreement with National Traffic Safety Committee, Ministry of Education and Training on implementing road safety intervention. National Traffic Safety Committee then have instructed their suppliers to work with AAB Foundation and to take the ownership of this project. And a MOU was signed with each of the 3 provincial traffic safety committees, defining role and responsibility of each government partner and of AAB Foundation. The project also raised the government awareness of the app through various types of activities, for example, meetings, training, events. We invited experts from the Ministry of Transport to deliver a session on adequate road conditions of a safe school zone in the year training. And we also invite National Traffic Safety Committee to participate in the launching event, and they offer their enthusiastic support for this project. 100% of surveyed government stakeholders found youth opinions collected from youth engagement app useful, very useful for government stakeholders to identify high-risk location. And finally, the engagement of government stakeholders in all project activities contribute to increasing government buy-in and ownership of the project, as well as familiar with the app, making it easier for us to advocate for government acceptance of the year result and scaling in a later stage. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. That's the current. And no, come back. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, go back. One slide. Thank you. How the project have increased youth engagement in road safety decision. From the beginning, in collaboration with local government partners, we host a meeting with school administrators and teachers to introduce this project and criteria for student selection. The teachers were more knowledgeable about the app, making it more useful for them to persuade 1,800 students to take part in the initiative. Teachers, parents, and students were also engaged in the discussion, which they actively provide valuable feedback on the app's layout, functionality, and overall perception. 3 master training were held for the government staff, teachers, providing them with road safety knowledge around school zone and instruction on how to use the app to pass the knowledge to their students. And then the teacher who had completed the master training actively helped in educating and emphasizing the importance of their role and responsibility in safe mobilities. And students receive road safety booklets to refresh their memory whenever they want, and backpacks to encourage them to participate in the project. Aside from trainings, 3,000 students, teachers, and government officials took part in the launch to kick off the Youth Engagement App campaign in the 3 cities. Next slide, please. Students now have a communication channel designed for their needs to report how safe they feel when they're traveling to school. They reported their perception rating of the update number is over 19,000 locations, raising their voice for Streets for Life. This finding is very useful for the project to identify high-risk location for further assessment in order to determine school zone star rating. Next slide, please. And during the project implementation, the pre and post assessment show positive change in knowledge and attitude among youth. Good and excellent knowledge increased significantly from 56% to 82% before and after intervention. And their positive attitude also increased from 42% to nearly 59% after using the app. Next slide, please. And now I would like to take this moment to highlight some advantages we experienced from the field. We received good support from and strong commitment from our national and provincial government stakeholders to our benefit and the benefit of our beneficiaries. And the app, as Shanna just mentioned above, it is very simple to use. So we think it can be applied immediately in a larger population. We also received the strong commitment from our youth. They provide valuable feedback for the app development and reported nearly over 19,000 locations. This is the updated number. Next slide, please. And we also got some challenges. According to child protection policy, children under 18 years old need to obtain parental permission by signing a consent form, and this has created a barrier for students who do not have parental permission. Although our national and local government stakeholders currently show their tremendous support, they also raise their concern about data management. Where is the data stored? Or who has access to and ownership over the data? Furthermore, given its political system, it is challenging for Vietnamese government to trust, to utilize the youth feedback from sources that they cannot control for their decision-making policy formulation. From that, AAB Foundation will present on the result and continue to work with government to obtain their approval. So next step, we will advocate the government to expand the year training to other province cities across Vietnam. And we will advocate our government to integrate youth engagement app as a government tool. And we wish them to leverage the tool to secure national or city funds for road upgrade adoption. Thank you for your kind attention. I'm happy to respond if you have any question.
Thank you so much, Trang, for your presentation. In order to close the presentations, I would like to re-give the floor to Rafa for her closing remarks, and then we can do a run of Q&A. We have some questions by written that I've been saving towards the end. So Rafa.
Okay, thank you, Franco. So yeah, if you pass to the next slide, please. Just closing the loop on everything that we've discussed today. For those of you who are not familiar, this is the Starting for Schools interface. So this is the website where we collect information on the schools and infrastructure. And you can see in the map all the pins that have been added as part of the youth engagement, with the use of the youth engagement app. So we have recently launched the integration of the two platforms. So if you access now the results webpage of the Starting for Schools, you will be able to see the youth engagement app pins. And next one, please. And the idea is that these inputs and this feedback from students can be used to identify in which locations we should be analyzing into more detail the road infrastructure. You can see in this example here that, for example, there is one intersection where a lot of students are reporting medium risk, and we should look into more details on this specific intersection. Similarly, there might be some locations that are perceived to be safe, but might be interesting to assess infrastructure in these elements just to make sure that it is indeed safe, or whether, as Shannon said, this might be something related to the perceived safety not being compatible in some locations with the actual safety of the road infrastructure. So we are not going into a lot of details on how to use these results in the Starting for Schools, but for those of you who are interested in hearing more about the Starting for Schools, how it's used, then we have video courses available for free in English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and soon French. And so now I'll pass it back to Franco for questions, and I remain at your disposal for any support and any clarification.
Thank you very much, Rafa, for those closing remarks. And let's go with the first question by written, which I think that was covered by this last closing that you did, Rafa, but let's go at it. It's from Regatu Solomon, and she says, how do you check whether the data that someone is giving to you is correct or not? Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes, I can start, but for sure, Trang and Shanna might also be able to add on this topic. As we were saying, The idea of the youth engagement app is to capture risk perception. So this is something we have to keep in mind when we are discussing the assessment results. And this is why it's so interesting to combine it with other tools as the Starting for Schools, which is focused on the safety of the road infrastructure. So the inputs and the feedback from students are very helpful and very powerful to guide us on where to start with, but you should definitely look into more details before making any other next steps in the process, because in some cases risk perception might not be representing the actual risk of a particular location.
And if I may add to that, I think one of the key things here is that we are trying to identify clusters, like we are trying to identify groups of pins and not only looking for an individual perception. So if we have like 20 pins, 30 pins, 50 pins in an intersection saying that that intersection is very unsafe, so we can, with some level of confidence, say that there is some risk there that we should look at in more details. So it's not only about like the individual's perception, but most like how the group or how the students of that particular schools understand their environment. So we have just to make some fun comments. So we identified, for example, some students that are drawing hearts with the pins and things like that. So there are of course users that are playing a bit with the platform, but it's very easy to catch those. So I can say that. And another thing too, I think that represents how accurate actually is the data that are providing is that, as you could see in the image, the pin is very focused and located on the roads, because they could include like pins and coordinates like everywhere on the map, but they are mostly focused on the roads, on the intersection. So we can definitely identify these groups of pins. So this gives us a little bit more confidence of that the information they provide, it's great. And one additional comment, and I'll finish here, is that if you are inviting youth to participate in this process, I think we need to give this opportunity to them to speak and trust that they will do the best and provide the information to us.
Thank you so much, Rafa and Shana, for that answer. For those in the session, remember that there's a hand that you can raise, and I can allocate the mic to you to do a question with an open mic. So far, we don't have any other written questions, so let's just give 1 minute to see if someone wants to take the floor and ask a question.
In this meantime, I can add just to do some clarifications on where we are right now. So we just finished like this major pilot with 1,800 students that Frank just talked a little bit earlier. So we have these pins in the platform right now. So and this information supported the Star Rating for Schools assessment. So we are now in a moment of really checking if the Star Rating for Schools results that we obtain with the assessments are matching or not with the perception. So I think it's a very interesting point of the project for us of checking this information and see how these tools can be combined together. And beside that, I think there is a lot of things that will be possible to do with the data that we are providing. We have 19,000 pins, 19,000 perceptions in the system right now, and a lot of different studies can derive from that. So that's where we are currently now. I think we have great feedbacks regarding the app functionalities itself. Now we are in a moment of understand how can we get from this data, how exactly these perceptions correlate with the Star Rating for Schools. So I would say that you should wait for the next steps, for the next chapter.
Perfect. We have a hand raised by Pasant Sakna. Pasant, you should be able to open your mic now.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like first to thank you all for this interesting session. Just introducing myself, my name is Pasant. I'm from the NADA Foundation for Safer Egyptian Roads, based in Egypt, and I have only 2 questions. The first one, if the application is available in other languages, specifically Arabic, And the other question, if it can suit other target youth. I mean, here we have an experience working with not only school students, I mean youth ambassadors in other venues, and I would like to know if it can suit non youth who are not good at writing or reading or something like that. Hope my point is clear enough. Thank you very much.
Maybe I can start. So currently the app is only available in English and Vietnamese. We had some estimations of how much will cost to translate to other languages. It's not it's kind of cheap, because the idea of developing the app as well is that we did not include too much text on it. They are mostly based on icons and pictures. So if you, for example, want to apply and want to translate to other languages, to Arabic, as you said, and this is quite important, because since we are dealing with students from schools, for example, it's very important that they are using the app in their native language. So we are totally open to discuss possibilities of translate this to other languages. Regarding your second question, we are applying, and maybe Tran can give you more information about this, with university students in this pilot as well. So not only for school students, but also for university students too. And I mean, the app could be used for other members of school community. It's quite simple to train and to use. I think it's suitable for other groups as well.
Yeah. So for the second question, actually we pilot with various group of students from secondary school student, high school student, and university student, and I would say that they are very independently from their parents. They can do the app very well, and no need the help from the teachers or parents even. Yeah.
Thank you, Trang and Shana, for answering that question. As we need to finish, because we are reaching to the 60-minute cap that we put for this meeting, I would like you to see you with this. Remember that this was the first session of the Rap Knowledge Live session, and we are going to meet again in May for another Rap Knowledge Live session. For this session, I would just like to appreciate and say a big thank you to Shana, to Rafaela, and to Trang Tron and AIP Foundation for being able to conduct this webinar with us. We will see you back on the 16th of May. There are going to be a communications campaign letting you know the subject of the next webinar, but you will for sure be able to visit our website, irap.org/training, and see the scheduled live webinars, and you will see the next edition of the IRAP Knowledge Line, such as I am showing right now. And if there was any question that remained unanswered, or anyone who raised the hand right in the end, you can direct me the question through my email, franco.asato@irap.org, and I will direct that question to the presenters, and they're going to be on the answering of that as well. So thank you very much again for joining us, and thank you, Shana, Rafa, and Trang, for joining us for this session.
Thank you, everyone.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Franco. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.